again, historians. This is the second part of the video that for today, October, I think it's the 5th, 2020. And so virtual video part 2. I'm obviously, again, not in my house. You might say, well, where are you? Well, where I am is in the forest. I'm in the woods, right? And so I'm just gonna focus on a tree here in front of me. And why am I in the woods? You're like, what are you doing? So because we never really talked about what were all the reasons why the colonists came over? Why did the Queen Elizabeth and then the King James I want colonists to be in England, that they would give them these charters to do that? And one of the reasons was England, Britain, was suffering a wood shortage. They had been cutting down their forests for quite a while for a variety of reasons, the number one being they had an industrial revolution that was going on where manufacturing was growing. And manufacturing back in the 1600s was fueled by wood, or it was fueled by charcoal, and charcoal is a wood product. And so they were cutting down their forests right and left to the point where there were poor people actually freezing to death in the winter because they had no wood to burn in their fireplaces. And so England is thinking, where can we get more wood? We're running out of wood. We have a shortage. And they also needed wood for other things. They needed wood for ships. A warship to fight Spain, right? Because they're fighting the Spanish Armada. A ship takes like 50 acres worth of trees to build. And so they needed as many big, strong, straight trees as they could get. And they're like, we're running out. We don't have any more. But there are lots and lots of trees over in the New World. And so there was a guy named Richard Hakluyt. And Richard Hakluyt wrote an entire book about England's need for trees and the fact that the New World had so many. And that the New World not only had lots of trees for building with, but they also had lots of trees that you could use for masts on ships, tall, straight, hardwood trees. And they needed masts, and masts were almost impossible to find in England now. So this industry starts to head over to Jamestown. And Jamestown was the original place where they started. And when they arrived there, they arrived at a place with an even denser forest at this. This forest has been largely cleared out. There's a lot of light and space in it, but many of the forests along the whole eastern seaboard were prime forests that hadn't been touched. The Native Americans had lived in the forest. Nobody else had lived there. Nobody had cut down many trees when they arrived in Jamestown. And here's this just massive country that has all of these trees that can go back to England for manufacturing and for ships and of course for people to warm their houses with. And so that was one of the big reasons. So I want you to imagine being a colonist who goes into gets off a ship and goes into the forest and into the woods, and you have to now look at this land and say, wow, we need to build shelter. That's the first thing we need. We need shelter. And so to get shelter, you're going to have to clear a space of land of its trees. And like I said, most of these trees are fairly small. There are a few big ones. I don't know if you can see. There's a big one. No, that's sort of a big one, like right there, sort of. But there are a couple that are bigger than that. But most of these are small trees because this lot had been cleared, probably 40, 50 years ago, and now it's growing back, okay? And it's only, I'm actually in my own neighborhood, and it's in this neighborhood because this lot has been preserved because it's partial wetland in the middle of it, so to absorb drainage water. It's been preserved and they can't build on it. So you have to build your house, your cabin, whatever it is, you have to build it. You have to clear the land for it because the trees are dense, close, tight together. So you have to clear as much land as you need to build your new little home, okay? And we're talking about you have to cut down every tree, you have to get rid of all the brush because the forests around Jamestown are very brushy. And you also eventually are going to want to build a farm. If we move up towards the Williamsburg time of history, people are building farms and starting farms. And so you may have a place to live, but you need a field. You need fields, large fields, where you can grow your crops. And I don't know if you've ever thought about what it takes to clear a field to grow things in. You have to remove all of the trees, all of the brush, all of everything that's growing there. Then you have to remove all the stumps. And remember, you have nothing but hand tools. You have nothing that has any kind of power beyond human power. Maybe, you know, somebody might have a mule, a donkey, you know, but that's it. You've got no power other than your own sweat and labor. And so you have to dig up every stump, and you have to smooth the land out so that you can plant it. And hopefully you get your land planted. You've gotten there early enough, you can get the land cleared and planted, so you will have a crop by the fall. Hopefully some of that is food crop, like wheat or something. I have to go look up what they grew, but that you can feed yourself with, right? So to become a colonist anywhere outside of maybe Florida, where there's not as many forests, was extremely hard work. It was not like you waltz on into the land and just set up your spot, you know. No, you have to clear everything. You have to cut every tree. You have to dig every stump. You have to smooth over the land, and you have to plant it all, and you have to harvest it all. It's hard, hard work being a colonist in a new land. So that's the end of this video for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.